So this is John chapter 13, the scripture for the 17th of December. Now there's a shift that takes place in John 13, both in tone and in setting. I've talked a couple times before about the first part of the Gospel of John, going up until chapter 12, is called the Book of Signs, whereas this second chunk of the Gospel of John is sometimes referred to as the Book of Glory. And for the next 5 chapters, that doesn't take us up to the end of the Gospel of John, but for the next 5 chapters, we'll have a consistent setting and a consistent theme, more or less. We're going to hear Jesus' words nearly exclusively. If you have a Bible with red letters for the words of Christ, this is where you're going to see a ton of red ink. He's going to eat one final time with his followers. This is all taking place right around the time of the Last Supper. Although it's called the Book of Glory, I think this section of John describes Jesus undergoing significant humiliation. First, he clothes himself as a servant and washes the likely filthy feet of his disciples. You see, at this time, people would walk everywhere they went, and they'd walk in open-toed sandals. And so his disciples probably had sweat and dirt and dung, just to begin, on their feet. So they were likely stinky. They were likely filthy in so many ways. And the task of foot washing, it was a very lowly task for this reason. Because not only are you touching people's bare feet, but you're picking up everything that they walked in and washing that off. Now, for Jesus, though, humiliation on the one hand and glorification on the other have significant overlap. In making himself a lowly servant, he demonstrates to us that there is nothing God is unwilling to do. Therefore, nothing is beneath us as Christians either. Now, while it's tempting to follow the ways of the world, clinging to whatever power and authority we can scrounge up for ourselves, following Jesus Christ means forsaking your power for the sake of others. Now, this doesn't mean abdicating what God has entrusted to your stewardship. Instead, it means stewarding it responsibly by sharing it. You see what's going on there? We're not just giving up what we have and pretending like we don't bear a responsibility for it. No, we're intentionally sharing it with those we can trust to use it. Sharing responsibility and authority even with those the world may see as beneath you. The greatest among you, after all, must serve. Now, this also means allowing and possibly even inviting betrayal. Jesus willingly relinquishes his control over Judas, asks him to go ahead and do what he's going to do. And Jesus has an understanding of what Judas is going to do. He knows that it's going to cost both him and it's going to cost Judas. By sharing power and authority, you risk empowering your enemies as much as you gain to empower your friends. However, God makes it rain on both the just and the unjust. And I think for this reason, by sharing power, you are being conformed more and more to the image of Jesus. But I want you to note this too, that it's after being betrayed, after suffering the ultimate humiliation of someone he trusts, throwing his trust back in his face, that Jesus claims he's been glorified. This is what it means to love one another, to share in Jesus' glory. What it means is sharing in his betrayal, sharing in his abasement, being with him at his lowest point so that we can arise with him to sit at the right hand of the Father. It means experiencing the humiliation of losing control of those you love, losing control even of those you lead. The glorification of Jesus involves losing control even of your ability to continue living. It involves willingly choosing to sacrifice your life, not only on behalf of those you love, but also for those who betray you. Sharing in Jesus' glory means renouncing your ultimate control over this world, over anything you believe you have control over even your life. So I wonder, how much of Jesus' glory and humiliation are you willing to embrace? That's all for John chapter 13. Tomorrow, the 18th, we'll look at John chapter 14. May God bless you in your reading of Scripture.